549 day that I'm here to share lessons that I'm learning. I hope this lessons support your dreams, your goals, allow you to become the person that you want to become. Today is a very, very important topic. I truly believe that this topic is one of the essential topics when you think about how much you're able to achieve in life. What is your capacity? Now, I will share how to measure your capacity, and I'll share 5 things that I think that every single person needs to think about, really how to improve your capacity and how to achieve better things. Of course, the more you increase your capacity, the more you're able to achieve. Your capacity is not fixed. Your capacity, you're able to increase your capacity. Today, we're going to share those 5 things. You will realize how you're able to improve your capacity and that you're able every single day to improve your capacity more and more. Of course, if you don't do anything about your capacity, most likely your capacity could go even lower, and because you're able to lose your capacity as well. It's exactly the same as a muscle. Capacity is like a muscle. If you train it, it becomes stronger, bigger. If you don't train it, you lose it and becomes weaker. So the first thing is that when you think about your capacity, you always need to evaluate or assess your skills. So of course, like what kind of skills you build, sales, public speaking, leadership, any kind of skills. Like it's when you in a maybe a career path, what kind of skills do you have? IT skills, cyber security. I don't know, like it doesn't matter, but what kind of skills do you have? So assess and how strong are you comparing where you were in the last year and where you are compared to other people. Because I truly believe that first thing you always need to compare for a second with others, just understand their reality. And second part, you always need to compare you to yourself because that is a future based. Because if you know that you're able to improve, so that means that you'll be able to improve more and more. Second thing is evaluate your knowledge. Of course, we need skill is to be able to do things, and but knowledge is of course is very important as well. So we always need to evaluate what do we know about the subject, because the more we know, of course, the more we're able to put into action. A lot of times people say knowledge is power, but knowledge is not power until it's used, because knowledge is power when you use it. Because there's a lot of books in the library, there's a lot of knowledge in the library. But if no one picks up the book and learns that knowledge and uses, there is no power in it at all. So of course we need to evaluate our knowledge. Third is analyze your experiences. So why experiences are so important? So of course, if you do not have experiences, you will missing out on that. So that means I truly believe that people need to experience, try, fail, make mistakes, succeed, and all those experiences. What it does, the more experiences you have, the more intuitive you are. Because oh, I have experience, I know how that could work out. So it means that every single experience brings a gut feeling, because the more experience you have, the more you have to analyze what is happening now and where that could potentially lead. Of course, there's a lot of gray area where something could turn out totally wrong. But when you have some similar experiences, a lot of times your gut feeling and your intuitiveness will lead to better choices. Number four is consider personal traits. It's just easier. If you are 7 foot, like you potentially, it's easier to become a basketball player than being a 5 foot player. There's probably never been a basketball player that is 5 foot. I think that is the shortest person I have been in a basketball is 6 foot or something. No, it's 5 foot something. Like I don't know. It just if you have certain height traits, of course, it's harder to become somebody. So exactly the same with traits that it could be a voice, it could be something else. But review your traits to understand, okay, what kind of strengths, what kind of things, weaknesses you have, what kind of blind spots you have with your traits that you could cover with someone else. So that means that, of course, about traits, it could be about how agreeable are you, how conscientious you are, and all the other parts. So that means, of course, personal traits is very valuable to consider when you think about your capacity. Now, number five is much more difficult to evaluate and to think about it, but and number five is always the most important thing when you think about your capacity. And number five is your heart. What I mean by heart, because I love the book Start with Why by Simon Sinek, because when you know exactly why you do things, and it's much easier to do things. Because it doesn't matter where your skill is, it could be 1 of 10. It doesn't matter where your knowledge is, it could be 1 of 10. It doesn't matter what your experience are. It doesn't matter what your traits are. But if you have an amazing desire to change your life, to change someone else's life, to leave a legacy, and you are willing to do whatever it takes to make things happen, I truly believe that 99%, 99 chance that you're able to make it happen. Of course, there is exceptions in everything in life. There is no rules without exceptions. So, but 99% that if you are willing to put your heart into something, that means you will be able to make it happen. But a lot of times people are not willing to sacrifice, because a lot of times when people have an amazing huge desire and they say, oh, it's not possible, it's possible. But are you willing to sacrifice maybe 16 hours a day for 10 years to work on something? And people say, no, like I want to have life. So maybe that desire is not as important, because if it is that important, that means that you potentially could be willing to invest 10 years, a decade, maybe even 20 years, working 10 hours a day every single day to make that happen. So I truly believe when you think about capacity, you always need to understand how important it is. Because when you understand how important it is, everything else becomes irrelevant. So that means the skill could be built over years, experience could be built, knowledge could be built. The question is, like, are you willing to sacrifice? Because I love the saying that you need to give up to go up. So what you're willing to sacrifice for your desire. And that's of course, when you understand your why, your capacity goes through the roof. Because I love the saying that when people think about their goals, a lot of times they quit on their goals because they compare their goals, their big goals, with current their station. So they look into their current station, their current capacity regarding skills, experiences, knowledge, and so forth, and they compare it themselves currently with their future goal. But that's a mistake. You always need to compare who you want to become, what kind of person you need to be, and what kind of person you're trying to be, so that you're working very hard to become the person that could, and then you compare your future self with that future goal. And when you compare your future self with future goal, you realize that your future you is more than capable of hitting that goal. Maybe even that goal that you set for yourself at the moment is much smaller than you visualize and create yourself. That means that that short-term goal for 5 years is is small goal. And when you think about yourself, and maybe you created a goal of yourself for the next 30 years, how you will look like in next 50 years. So for example, you're 20 years old and you imagine, okay, what kind of legacy I would love to leave, what kind of person I would love to be at 70. And then you compare yourself at 70 and all the skills that you have built, all the knowledge you have built, and you look into that goal that you set for 10 years. You realize that that goal that you set for 10 years is a smaller baby compared to who you want to become. I think that when we choose goals, we always need to realize that what kind of person you're working to become, what kind of capacity that person will have, and of course, what kind of goals you'll be able to manage to have, and what kind of goals you'll be able to achieve. So today, number one thing is that when I think about your capacity, realize that all the things, skill, knowledge, experiences, doesn't matter until you really understand why you want to do those things. Because I truly believe that when you know what is the purpose, what is that the main thing that drives you to move forward. Because if you know what is your drive, why you tick, it doesn't matter how long it will take, you will make things happen. So I hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.